China is stepping up military drills near Taiwan this week following President Biden's comments that the U.S. would defend the island militarily if Beijing invaded. The White House quickly walking that back, saying the president was not announcing a policy change. But in a statement Wednesday, the Chinese People's Liberation Army called the new military exercises a, quote, solemn warning about the recent collusion between the U.S. and Taiwan, saying it was hypocritical and futile for the U.S. to say one thing and do another on the Taiwan issue. Let's bring in Michael Pillsbury. He's Director for Chinese Strategy at the Hudson Institute and author of the book, The 100-Year Marathon, China's Secret Strategy to Replace America as the Global Superpower. Michael, welcome. So what do you make of the president's message this week? Is it a change of policy or not?
Apparently it's both, Paul, and I think the Chinese are as confused as the rest of us. The Chinese are basically on the alert for some kind of real U.S. policy change, as they were with Mr. Trump. Whether we have joint exercises with the Taiwan military, which we haven't done for 50 years, whether we sell more assertive, as they say, weapons to Taiwan. There's a series of things that China is on edge about. So this kind of neuralgia they have, looking for some sort of American outrageous support of Taiwan, it's triggered when the president says what he said. So when the White House takes it back, almost within minutes, the Chinese, they're very suspicious and paranoid about us, Paul, as you know. So they think this is some kind of trick. This is some kind of maneuver that Biden really meant it. And so they're increasing their military exercises around Taiwan, which, as you know, the danger of that is a lot of times, including with Saddam Hussein in the Kuwait area, a lot of times you have a big military exercise and then suddenly you convert it into an invasion and you catch your opponent by surprise. That's our worry and Taiwan's worry.
You don't think that we'd have ample intelligence warning about that?
That's the problem. The intelligence warning tells you forces are moving. Ships are going someplace, planes are going, troops are being moved forward. All of that happens in one of these large-scale exercises. So the Chinese side, just like Saddam Hussein, they can deny it. They can say, oh, this is just an exercise.
Right.
Until the final 24 hours or so, when it's no longer an exercise, it's an invasion. It's an intelligence challenge. A lot of CIA courses exist on how to detect enemy deception, but it's very, very difficult.
So do you think that the United States should change its policy away from the strategic ambiguity that has dominated for so long toward a more forceful, clear declaration that the United States will come to the military aid of Taiwan?
Yes, I do. And in addition, just to the rhetoric of saying that, which is essentially in some parts of the Taiwan Relations Act. It's in some speeches other presidents have made. But more importantly is to develop actions with the Taiwan military that China will see and be deterred by. As I have mentioned in various writings, people are shocked that we used to have nuclear weapons on Taiwan. We took them out. We used to have a joint war plan with Taiwan where we would have exercises about that war plan. That war plan has been canceled for 50 years and no exercises. The Taiwan military is highly isolated worldwide. They don't have any friends they can go visit and see how do you do things these days with the Army, Navy, Air Force. So Taiwan's military being less isolated, together with a little bit less ambiguity, I think that would deter China without provocation of China, which we also want to avoid, obviously.
Well, that's the issue, right? The people, if you make that case inside the U.S. government, you know exactly what the opposite argument is. We cannot provoke China into doing something we don't want them to do. So and that was the argument, ironically, the Biden folks made before the Russian invasion of Ukraine, right? We can't give them more weapons because we will provoke Putin. Now people are saying that about Taiwan. What's your response, though, to that line?
Well, the good thing that the Biden team did with Ukraine is once they had knowledge of Putin's plan to go after Kyiv, to land airborne troops, try to take off the country's leadership in a day or two. Once the U.S. had that plan, it was shared with the Ukrainians. If we have that kind of knowledge in advance that the Chinese intend to invade and do something, the crucial thing is going to be share that with Taiwan. Get ready, you guys, and also begin to move our own forces closer to Taiwan. Unfortunately, Paul, as you know, there's simply no NATO for Taiwan. There's
right.
no other country in the world has any kind of agreement to defend Taiwan. And as you say, ours agreement is pretty ambiguous. So this is a growingly dangerous situation, if I could mix my adverb in there.
All right. So what, about 45 seconds or so, what lessons do you think China's taking from Russia's invasion of Ukraine for its own potential dealings with Taiwan?
It looks like the Chinese are quite aware of the role American intelligence played in alerting the Ukrainians, then providing, before the invasion, providing some Stingers and Javelins. So this is their fear, that the U.S. at an early point would get involved in defending Taiwan. Even though we've said we won't do that for sure, the Chinese fear is we will do it. It'll be very effective. And their sort of Normandy-style invasion of Taiwan will end up as a fiasco, which some of the Chinese are concerned this could lead to the overthrow of the Communist Party of China because of a military fiasco like that. So there's a lot at stake here. We have to watch this sort of week by week to see if it's getting better or worse. So far, it's getting worse, Paul.